today's video, instead of talking about the products I'm putting on my face, the focus is going to be on the brushes that I'm using to apply the products. So if you are looking to start off your brush collection or investing in good quality brushes, I hope that this video can help you out. Oftentimes in my videos when I'm applying my products, I get asked, what brush are you using? So I thought today would be a great video to put the focus on BK Beauty because they really are one of my favorite brush brands. I can guarantee if you purchase from them that you are going to get quality brushes that are going to last you a long time. Now, I do think it's very important to invest in good brushes because guess what? It's actually more important to invest in good brushes over products because the brushes don't expire like the makeup does. These are brushes that you're going to have forever in your routine, and brushes are what helps a blend. They help smoother application. They help you apply your makeup faster. So it is really important to invest in good brushes if you have the ability to do so. And I think that BK Beauty is a great brand to start off with because they have high quality brushes and really great functional shapes. So for today's video, I'm going to be going over my favorite BK Beauty brush for each step of my makeup routine. I decided to do this video because there's actually a code running from now until May 31st that you can get 20% off of your order with the code YT20. You can also shop from the tags in this video, or I'll have them all listed in the description box for you. As always, full disclosure, I do earn a small commission if you do shop through my links, but nonetheless, I literally use BK Beauty every single day in my routine when it comes to applying my makeup. I just don't really say it that much because I'm a much more product-focused channel. But today we're giving brushes a little bit of a moment here. And I have to say, as somebody who has been able to communicate with the brand behind the scenes, I can tell you not only are the products great, but so are the people behind the brand. BK Beauty was started by Lisa J, who started off as a YouTuber. She worked as a makeup trainer, I believe, a makeup artist trainer, and her education shows through in these shapes. They have created trends in the industry. I see other brands copying what BK Beauty has done first. And I'm just so proud of Lisa and the brand and the team overall for the success that BK Beauty has had. I see everybody, the biggest influencers now using BK Beauty. I see it all over TikTok. So a huge congratulations to the team for your success. And I want to spread the gospel. They have some really good stuff, guys. So as always, when it comes to starting off a good brush collection, a good place to start is with brush sets. BK Beauty does offer a lot of different brush sets that you can look into. One of my favorites is the Angie Hot and Flashy travel set. So the brushes are going to be shorter, the handles I mean, but I have a bunch of random brushes in here. But I actually think it's worth it just for this case. Now you get the amazing brushes included in this, but this is what I use to travel because it can get dirty on the inside. It's easy to clean. The brushes store pretty flat in my suitcase, and that's why I like it. It takes up no time in my suitcase. And then when you're doing your makeup, it stands up like this so you can have a visual on all of the brushes. So this is unrelated to actual brushes, but this is one of my favorite sets because I love this case so much. Two really noteworthy sets are the collaborations that BK Beauty has done with influencers. The first one being the Angie Hot and Flashy set, which I personally recommend for the most amazing eye brushes for small or hooded eyelids. They have a couple blending brushes in there that I use all the time, and also my all-time favorite concealer brush, which I will talk about in today's application, is in that set. And then of course you guys know Nikki LaRose. She is a pro makeup artist, an expert, and she's also the sweetest. I've had the opportunity to meet her in person before, so I can guarantee you her set as well with her expertise. Really unique brushes in that set. Again, I'm going to mention a few of my favorites from that set as well. So you'll also be supporting a creator if you purchase from one of those two sets. And they created some of the most innovative, most used brushes that I personally use in my routine even now. So those are a great place to start because the brushes have truly come from makeup users, makeup experts, and yeah, so if you're a set girl, look into those. But individually, we're going to talk about for each step which brushes I like to use the most. So let's start off with foundation. I believe BK Beauty was popping off with the 101 brush. For me, that one's a little bit big. If you have a smaller face like myself, 115 is the way to go. But actually my favorite brush to apply foundation from BK Beauty is the 106. So the 106 is more of a dome shape, whereas the 115 or the 101 are gonna have a little bit of a slant. Both are extremely dense. Now, when it comes to BK Beauty, my favorite way to use their brushes are for liquids and creams. Their fibers, there is no other brand that works so well with liquid and cream products, which are so trendy right now, which is why the brand has popped off, because they truly have the best brushes for liquid and cream applications. So because the 106 is my favorite, this is the brush that I'm going to use today, but I do also recommend the 115 brush. If you like something a little bit bigger, you're going to be able to apply the product a little bit faster as well. And I'm not going to mention what makeup products I'm using, but I will link them down in the description box if you are curious, if you like the way a product looks, of course. Ignore this. I burnt myself with a curling iron the other day. No, I'm 29 years old. This is not a hickey. Though it definitely looks like it. But the good old curling iron got me. But anyways, I just love the way that this brushes the makeup on. It's super soft. I've even used this 106 brush before, many times actually, for cream bronzer as well. If I needed a quick cream bronzer blush to apply, it's a great shape for that as well. But for me, I like to take my time blending in foundation, so I prefer a smaller brush for foundation. And this one is perfect for allowing me to take my time and be really specific with my placement of product. And this doesn't soak up any product into the brush. Look at this smooth application that this is giving me. No streaks, no need to use a sponge to apply. All around, just a really versatile, functional tool. And the best thing about these BK Beauty brushes is you can use them however you want. You don't have to use them how I'm using them today. This could be for blush, this could be for bronzer, this could be for foundation, whatever best fits your needs. So there are two non-negotiable brushes from BK Beauty that I recommend, that I cannot live without. I use every single day. And the first one that I'm mentioning is one of them. This, if you are gonna get one brush from BK Beauty for concealer, it has to be the Angie Hot and Flashy A506. So they say that this one has a kitten paw, as you can see, to apply it. And nothing, I mean nothing, gets into the crevices more perfectly than with this concealer brush. I do have another concealer brush option that I'm going to share with you after, but for me, this is the one for my everyday full coverage concealer. So you just use the slanted side, and you see how perfectly this blends the concealer out, and it doesn't take away any pigment either or any coverage. It just pats the product in. It is the easiest shape. It fits onto the eyes like no other concealer brush I've ever used. This is the single most used brush that I have ever used in my collection. I need it for concealer at all times. And then what's also great about it is you can use this tip right here. I've used this for nose contour as well. And then I'll flip it back over to the concealer side and use that to push in the nose concealer. So this is the best concealer brush. Now, sometimes when I'm having a more natural makeup day, I just want a little bit of concealer nicely blended out. I do love the BK Beauty, obviously, Nikki LaRose N14 brush. So this one, I don't know, how would you describe this shape? You can see it's almost like a little bit of a dome. It's a little bit longer, so it's dense, but it's not too dense. So what I like this for is on lighter makeup days and where I just want a little bit of concealer or tinted moisturizer. I use this to blend out my concealer, or I'll use it to literally blend out the product quickly all over my face for really light coverage, not like a full even layer of product, but just to blend and buff the color out to make my skin tone more even. So for natural days, this is my go-to brush, but for the more fuller coverage days, for more pinpointed application, nothing fits under the eyes like the A506. Now, cream bronzer, these are my two favorites. So just like the A506, I have the bigger version, which is the 109, and this is my other most used brush. These are my top two. If you're going to leave the BK Beauty website, you need to leave with these two because what do I not use this brush for? I use this brush for bronzer, liquid bronzer. I use it for cream blush. I've used it for foundation as well. This is one of my most used brushes. Like I said, this is a must have. Another good one, now this one I specifically use for cream bronzer. This is the 116 brush. It's a shorter version of the 106, which is what I just used to apply my foundation. So 106 for foundation, and then the 116 I do like for cream bronzer. It's shorter, so it's a little bit more dense, which I think makes it easier for cream bronzer, but honestly, 109 is my favorite for cream bronzer, so I have a clean one. I'll demo both for you today, but if I had to pick one, 109 is where it's at. So sometimes I'll just apply the product directly to my face. Sometimes, depending on the product, I'll apply the brush onto the product, but you see how it's just the perfect fit right here, and it's not too wide or big, so you're not spreading it out too much, especially with like bronzer or blush. You want to be a little bit more pinpointed on where you apply it. And again, BK Beauty just has the best bristles for this cream application. So that was with 109 application, so you can see. Let's do the 116 so you can see this application. Both do a great job. I just find the angle to be a little bit more comfortable than the dome, but again, they both get the same job done. So if you were looking for the perfect cream bronzer applicator, one of the two. I do think the 116, it is a little bit more dense, so I feel like you can get a little bit more depth quicker. You get a little bit more product pickup, but they both get the same job done. So pick up the 109, but I do like 116 as well. I'm also gonna demo for cream blush the 109 to show you how versatile it is. This is my go-to cream blush applicator. So remember, this is like that big paw. And again, I'm just going to go directly on the product. You see how perfectly this just fits onto the cheek? Like no other, you guys. Like no other. Doesn't soak up the product, doesn't leave it streaky, doesn't leave a weird application. Cream blush is so popular right now, so if you've been on the hunt for the perfect cream applicator, 109 for sure for complexion. In my opinion, BK Beauty excels at complexion products, particularly for liquid and cream products. Now for a little bit of nose contour, this is a unique shape. This is the 205 brush. So it has a little bit of a slant. I will admit, I don't use this one in particular from BK Beauty as much, but I use shapes like this for nose contour. The one that I'm currently using is from Patrick Ta, but BK Beauty, they do have one as well, which does the same job. Now this you can use on the eye as well if you want, but how I like to use this is for getting some contour down the nose, underneath the lip, like so. So that's what this is perfect for. And then you can go in with the concealer brush, and I like to use this to blend over top. So I did want to give the 205 a special mention because this is really good too. Now setting powder, I will admit I am more of a powder puff girl, but BK Beauty does have some nice brushes to press in under eye powder with. So the first one I have for the under eyes is the 113 brush. So you'll see it's pinched here, so it's more flat. So it has some density to it. This is a good one to set the under eyes with. So I'm just blending out my under eye concealer. I'm pressing it into my powder. And you see how the flatness of this makes it perfect for setting the under eyes. And you can really work the powder into the brush. And so since it's more flat and dense, it's really good to push into the skin, which makes it mimic what you can kind of get with a powder puff. And then for a little bit of a fluffier set, a more general set, I think Nikki LaRose did a great job with this N15 brush. This is extraordinarily soft. I've used this brush for everything. This is a do-it-all brush. It's good for powder bronzer. I've used it for powder blush. I prefer this for powders, not for creams. I'll use it to set my face as well. I'm just gonna take, just for example, this is a little bit of a glowier pressed powder, but you can use this for just pinpointed powder applications. It has some density to it, but it's not super duper dense. But I'm just using this for a general pinpointed set. But this is definitely a do-it-all kind of brush. And then powder bronzer, I have two different brushes. So if I want my powder bronzer to have more pigment to it, I go for the 107 brush. So I liked this one because it's pinched. You can kind of get in the more contoury area, or you can lay it flat for more of a wider spread of the powder. But this is what I use when I'm using the pigment of the powder bronzer and I want it to be visible. But when I want more of a light wash, like let's say I have on a cream bronzer and I just want to set with a little bit of a bronzer, but I want it very soft in application, that's when I use the 104 brush. So this one is nice and fluffy, it's very soft, so it's not going to pick up too much pigment. So you can see the difference between these four bronzer applications for two very, very different purposes. I think that this brush is really good for more baked gelée formulas. This is from Hourglass. Just to get a light set of the bronzer without applying too much of that pigment. This brush is also really great for if you're an Hourglass fan, their ambient glow powders, just to blend everything together because it's quite large as well. So again, it's giving the finish of the powder on the face, but it's not applying too much pigment. So if you're an Hourglass user and lover of that formula, this 104 brush is perfect for that. Now for powder blush, I have two. So the first one is bigger. This one is like the more dense bronzer brush where if I want the true pigment of the powder blush, I'll use this because it's a little bit bigger against my face and it's a little denser, so it will apply more pigment. I'm gonna try and go lights today, but sometimes I'll even use this big fluffer here or the Nikki brush to apply my blush. I'm gonna go really light-handed since I do have a cream blush on. That's not the one I wanted to use actually. We're gonna use the new Dior blush, but just for a light set of this brush. It goes over the cheek perfectly, but if I want more of a pinpointed application, let's say I want it more on the apple of the cheek or I want to mix a highlighter on, the 112 brush is not talked about enough. So this one is also an angled brush, but look at the difference between the A507 and the 112. Very different sizes. And I always think it's better for most situations, not all, but a smaller brush you can really take your time with. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of this blush on and then lightly blend this over the cheek like so. And it still fits perfectly, but this one is also fantastic for highlighter. So I'm gonna take the light glowy highlighter blush kind of hybrid and I can use it for that in-between area on the cheek. So it's not too big, but not too small is where I like to use it. And then you can also turn it like this and use it just for highlights. So now I'm dropping everything, you know, I'm going into a more specific highlight and then I can still apply it really specifically with the shape of this brush. So this one I think is an underdog in the BK Beauty line, and you can do so much with the 112. Come on in a little bit closer because we've already covered my favorite complexion brushes, but let's do the eye brushes. Lots of really good blending brushes that BK Beauty has. So one brush that I use a lot actually is from Angie's collab. It's the A505, and this I like to use for wet product for the eyes. So I often use concealer to clean up my underbrows, and this is what I use this brush for. So it has really dense fibers. It's very thin. It doesn't soak up any liquid. So I use this to clean up under the brows or around the mouth, especially when I have a darker lipstick on. This is really great for going in and cleaning up the lip line. This is also good for applying a liquid or cream shadow in really specific areas if you don't want it to look blended out, but you'd be surprised how often you'd use a stiff brush like this. I use it to clean up eyeliner. So this is my go in and fix and clean up everything brush. BK Beauty, if you're listening, I would love an even smaller version of this brush, but with this exact same fiber, shape, just a little bit smaller. for more pinpointed areas like eyeliner. But anyways, love to use this for touch-ups. It's not a very exciting brush, but it's very, very useful. BK Beauty has a lot of blending brushes that I'm quite fond of. I have two of my bigger base blending brushes for all over crease blends. So from their original line, the 201 brush, which you can see is a little bit taller, and then the N13, which has a little bit more of a taper at the end. So the buff and blend of this one can be a little bit more tight. This one is a little bit more all over. You probably don't need both. They're honestly amazing, amazing crease brushes. Like I said, the Nikki LaRose bristles are extremely soft for the line. I think if you happen to buy the Nikki LaRose set, you probably don't need the 201, but they're both amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you. We'll do the 201 with this eye. They pretty much do the same job, which is why I'm saying you probably don't need both, but also you can never have too many big old blending brushes. So let's do Nikki LaRose. Nikki LaRose with that tapered end has a little bit more of a pinpointed application, but it's so soft. It blends out to give the same blur as the 201 brush. Both are great for all over big, fluffy blending brushes, which is the backbone behind any kind of good eyeshadow look. Again, I have two very similar brushes that I use for the same purpose, but I just feel like I can't have too many of them. From the original line, which will have the red handles, is the 211 brush. And this is when we get into really good territory for hooded eyelids, because these are not too big and not too small. And then we have the A502 from Angie's line. And these are very, very similar. The 211 brush is just starting off with a little bit of a tighter base of bristles, so it's a little bit longer, whereas the A502 is maybe a little bit fatter. But for my eye shape, they serve the same kind of purpose. So again, if you purchase the Angie collab, you probably don't need the 211 brush, but this is perfect for not the all over blending brush, but for the in-between crease color that you want to keep a little bit low for more of a tighter blend, but it still looks blended. And then I'm going to use the A502 over here on this side. Again, a little bit tighter, but still gives that blended look. Really perfect, doesn't overwhelm smaller or hooded eyelids or more mature eyelids. So this is where BK Beauty does a great job. It's with these smaller blending brushes, but if you want to get even smaller, which is why I love this brand, the A504, also from the Angie Hot and Flashy collab. I personally love this brush specifically for getting a really nice blend on the lower lash line, because it doesn't stay too tight to the lash line, so it still looks blended, but it also doesn't cause an overblend of the under lash line color. So you see how really natural and just perfect that is. So I believe this is the smallest blending brush that BK Beauty has. It is a little bit tighter, so it doesn't fluff out too much. It has some good density, which makes it really great for that lower lash line application or keeping it really, really tight in the outer corner here. Though it's a bit tight for a fluffier blend, but it's really good for pinpointed application. Now for eyeliner, you guys know I love a good eyeshadow to apply my eyeliner. BK Beauty has one of the smallest angled brushes I've ever used in my life. This is the 208 brush, and for example, now the Nikki LaRose set has the N11. This is a big angled brush, so do keep that in mind, but you can see how tiny the 208 is. It's really, really thin, and I would say typically for my eyeliner, I do like a bigger brush, but this is so, so perfect for really creating a wing and having a lot of control, or the inner and outer corner wing is what I prefer this for. It takes a lot of work to put it along the whole lash line. Like I say, I just prefer something a little bit bigger. But for the inner and outer corner, right here, so this one is very unique to the BK Beauty line because of how teeny tiny it is. So if you do a lot of detail work with your eyeliner around the eyes, this brush is perfect. You see how easy it was to get that wing? And then, hold on, let me do this one. I am going to use it for the whole lash line today because it's in my hand, but generally speaking, I do use a bit of a bigger one for along here, just to save some time, but you can get so tight to the lash line with this brush if that sort of use appeals to you. But this is mostly for my wings and inner corner. Because look what you can do for the inner corner wing with this brush. Just like that. So quick and easy. When it comes to the inner corner wing, it is all about the brush you use. And this 208 brush is just the best for this inner corner area. Now for the last and final brush is this little goodie here from the Nikki LaRose launch, N12. Now this one is really neat. It's very, very dense, very short. This is cool because you can use it along the eyes. I've used this to blend out eyeliner, especially if you're using a gel pencil. This is perfect for smudging eyeliner, but this for me is the ultimate smudge brush, so I use it for lips the most. So, for example, if I want to smudge this out, this is perfect for smudging out lip liner and eyeliner. So, go-to smudgy brush. And yes, I'm demoing it for lip liner today, but it gets used just as much on the eyes too when I'm using gel pencil products. So this is a dark brown lip liner that I'm using, and this really softened it out. And I'm going back actually to the A505 brush, and this is when I would use this brush to kind of clean up the edges here. You can also use this brush to apply lip products if you're pulling from like a cream like pan product. So there we have it. Those are my favorite BK Beauty brushes for every single part of my makeup routine. Now the must-haves for me, the A506 is like no other. The 109 is like no other. Gosh, even the N14 I love so much for that all over spread. Foundation brushes, no matter what shape you go for from BK Beauty, they just have the best bristles. 106 happens to be my favorite. N15 has unreal softness. 104 is so perfect for setting over cream products or for those hourglass powders. The A504 has the perfect blending but also pinpointed application for eye makeup for smaller eyes. And the smallest angled brush is the 208. So those are all of my favorites. Again, I think if you are starting off on improving or building up your brush collection, you cannot go wrong with BK Beauty. And I thought now would be the perfect time to do this video because until May 31st, you can get 20% off with the code YT20. Like I said, I will have all of the brushes tagged as I was using them throughout the video, as well as the makeup, if you're curious, will be linked in the description box. But I just did really simple because I was more focused on showing you how I like to use the products as opposed to how the makeup looks. But I did use some product favorites for this look, so if you want to check that out. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you are working on building your brush collection, I hope that this video helped you out. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to have this for up always, of course, for reference when people want to know what BK Beauty brushes to pick up. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.
It's delicious.